Jets, Jets. In this episode of Mons and More, I'm going to be going over, reviewing, and breaking down the 2021 New York Jets schedule piece by piece. So I'm not going to waste any time, just going to jump right in and go. All right, got my computer here, so just kind of hang with me as I do this. Right off the bat, week one, Jets at the Carolina Panthers. The storyline there, storylines are always good when it comes to sports, is obviously you got Sam Darnold, was traded from the Jets in the offseason, so he's starting for the Panthers. And then our former receiver, Robbie Anderson, he is over there too. Despite that, and then obviously having Christian McCaffrey, he's basically their big threat. Me personally, I don't see that really making much of a difference for anything. I see the Jets coming out of this victorious, starting the season with a 1-0 record. If you're curious, my bottle is covered in duct tape because my normal beverage of choice is unavailable at the moment. So, it's lemon water. Anyways, all right, on to week two now. We've got the Patriots. So this is going to be that first odd game of the year. Now, we are home against the Patriots. There's a lot to this game. I'll try to touch a little bit on it now, but probably touch on it a little bit more later towards the end of the video. I think this is a game that can kind of go 50-50 either way. But being that they are the Patriots as a team, and then obviously Belichick there having that veteran experience, I guess will be the simple word. That's not what I wanted to say, but I'll go with that. Obviously, as that coach, being a prime coach, I'll give him the edge and give him the check for the victory on that, which would bring the Jets that record down to 1-1. Keep in mind, this could be a coin toss game either way. I'll come back to that towards the end. Week three, at the Denver Broncos. Now, a lot of people are talking up the Broncos in general. I think it's talk. It may become something later on in the year, but early in the season, I don't think it's much. A lot of it is obviously getting that offensive unit together between the receivers and the running backs. And then the question mark is obviously at quarterback with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Jets will come out on top on this one, and after week three, they'll be at a 2-1 record. Moving along on to week four, this is a no-brainer. I'm sure everyone will see this way, whether you want to hear it or not. Week four, we will be at home at MetLife, facing the Titans. That's an easy pick. I wouldn't really put much on that. I would expect a loss out of that, to be completely honest. So after week four, our record would, I'd like to expect to see us at 2-2, being realistic. Week five, it says we are at the Falcons. Now, this is what I'm going to call as a worldwide game because it's international, being in London. I think that we can escape this game this week with a victory over the Falcons and come out 3-2. Me personally, Matt Ryan, everyone says, yeah, he's got an arm and a lot of stuff. He passes for a lot of yards. He's a prime QB. I don't. I think ever since his downfall in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, he's kind of been overrated. That's just me personally. That's where I'm coming from on it. So after week five, I see the Jets having a record of 3-2. After that, because it's an international game, obviously we get the bye. So week six, we have a bye. Will be some retuning some things, going over, setting up, what's been going on so far at this point. And then we've got 2 weeks to prime for our week seven game, which is at New England. So this is our second game against the Patriots. Now, like I said, this is, like I said, being against the Patriots. I'll touch on this again at the end of the season, or at the end of the video. But for what's going on in the season here, this is something that could be a coin toss game. 50-50, either way. But let's just go with the simple assumption, based on how it should and could turn out. Let's just say it's a loss. And after 7 weeks, the Jets being at 3-3. Week 8, the Jets are home against the Cincinnati Bengals. My personal view and thoughts on this, I think the Jets will come out with a victory, going to 4-3. Now everyone says about, okay, you got Joe Burrow at quarterback, his arm and everything, his intelligence, his IQ for football, how he commands the offense. I get that, but we got a half season, a little more than a half season out of him last year. The coach, I think we still got to learn a little bit with him. And if I recall correctly, I think the receiver that they picked this year, I think it was Jamar Chase. I think there were a lot of receivers that were picked this year, so I could be confusing names. But the wide receiver that they took out of LSU, which was his former teammate, he had a very, very bad offseason. So you figure, but we're talking week 8, that'll probably, I would think, be corrected. But I just don't think that team is going to be enough. Like I said, I think the Jets are going to surprise what a lot of people are expecting them. In this match, I would, again, after week 8, I see the Jets being 4-3. Going into week 9, for me, this is an easy pick. Coming off on a short week at the Indianapolis Colts on a Thursday night game. It's a Carson Wentz team, so I've got zero faith in there. I think this is a very, very easy pick. Again, it could be a surprise. Again, it is a short week, so it could be a little bit sloppy. I don't know. It could be an interesting game, but it's Thursday night. But it's a Carson Wentz team. I expect the Jets to come out, and after week 9, I see the Jets being 5-3. Going on to week 10. Again, based on what we've seen specifically last year, but even so the last 2 years, you see the Bills are kind of on the up and up. They're kind of like a top tier team in the AFC. So I would assume that would be a loss for the Jets. So after week 10 versus the Bills, I would say the Jets' record should be 5-4. Week 11 versus the Dolphins. Now, this, again, just like I talked about before with the Patriots, the Dolphins, they can be 50-50 coin toss games. So again, everybody said is focused on the fact that last year the Dolphins were a very good team. I think they just missed the playoffs. I think it was by 1 or 2 games and maybe like a tiebreaker or something like that. What a lot of people are forgetting in how the Dolphins were last year is that was a Fitzpatrick team. Most of that team was run under him. And I think there was like one game where they were blowing out huge. Tua came in. There were good signs of him. And there were 2 games towards the end of the season where they said, hey, Tua's looking good. We're going to bring him in. We're going to start him and sit Fitz. And Fitz actually had to come into the game and save it or turn it around to get those W's for the Dolphins. Fitz isn't there anymore. This is Tua's team. So the team we saw last year may not necessarily be the team we saw this year because we don't know how Tua is going to handle that team being the starting quarterback and I guess you'd say one of the young faces of that franchise. So reluctantly, I'm giving the Dolphins the win on this, which would drop the Jets to 5-5. Recovery week, week 12, going to Houston. That's an easy victory. There's no question, benefit, or doubt of why the Texans should be picked. I was watching something the other day. They said, all right, name 2 or 3 players on the Houston Texans. While you do that, I'm going to keep going. So, after week 12, I see the Jets being 6-5. Week 13, home at MetLife against the Eagles. Now, this is that bonus NFC game that they're going to have this season. All right. I could see this possibly being another one of those 50-50 games. It's going to come down to, how is the play of the quarterback. Now, their starter at the moment right now is Jalen Hurts. And then you figure Flacco is their number 2 and Minshew is their number 3. So I got a feeling one of those 2 is probably going to be let go, whether it's Flacco or Minshew. But it's just a matter of what's that team going to look like. And then once you're getting later in the season, injuries is always a factor too. I've got a feeling in the Jets winning this game. So you figure after 13 weeks, I see the Jets record being 7-5. Week 14, again, home at MetLife against the Saints. This has potential to be a coin toss game. Now, again, the Saints, we know what they are. They got Kamara. You can say, all right, well, right now they have Michael Thomas. He's out on injury, so he's not there now in the lineup per se. But week 14, oh yeah, he'll be back. Well, last year he was injury plagued, and even though he played the later half and part of the season, he wasn't Michael Thomas. So it was really Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees that kept the Saints being what the Saints were last year. They don't have Drew Brees this year, and you never know what to get out of Jameis Winston. So a lot of how can come out of that game is going to depend on how the quarterback play is looking from them at that point. But I'll go benefit of the doubt. I'll give the Saints the win on that, and then that would bring the Jets record at week 14 to 7-6. Following week, we are closing out the season series, going to Miami to play the Dolphins. Again, I just went over that, the coin toss. Again, let's just go worst case scenario. Let's say the Dolphins win that. So now you figure after 15 weeks, the Jets would be at 7-7. Week 16 is I'll call this a big comeback after two questionable, potentially tough losses based on projections against the Jaguars. Now, I think this is clear cut. People are saying, well, how can you be clear cut on that? Urban Meyer's the head coach. He's going to have a college-driven offense. They got Trevor Lawrence. The team's being turned around. Here's why I'm not sharp on the Jaguars. Realistically, I don't think the Jaguars are going to have more than, I'll say 4 max wins this year. No more than 4 wins. That's a high number. I think once week 5 or week 6 hits for the Jaguars, that's going to be the potential downfall and decline of the team for the season. Because, I'm sorry, keep in mind, so right now at this point, Trevor Lawrence is the only quarterback, I believe, on that team. So you have that part. So he's going to basically be at full pressure the entire way. Okay, you have that. Urban Meyer, I think by week 10 or 11, he's going to be frustrated. Now, keep in mind, he was a college coach. A college season, I believe, is 12 weeks if you have a full schedule. Sometimes you get a bye, so you still get 11 games on 12 weeks. And then the elite teams, they have the playoff, so there's 2 more games in there. So let's say worst case scenario in college, you're playing 14 games. Well, they're playing now 17 games. It's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. I think he's going to be in for a shock. There's going to be a lot of the same kind of boring, monotone press conferences because he's going to be not happy that he's normally used to winning, and he's not going to be getting that equation here. At best, Trevor Lawrence is, at best, maybe an above average year. I think he's going to be in for a shock. Part of it being because obviously it's the NFL. Part of it being coaching at fault too. So we'll see. But simple mind, the Jets will win that game week 16 and they will come out 8-7. Week 17, another simple no-brainer pick. They'll be home against the Bucs. That's going to be a loss. Again, you figure you got Super Bowl champs, Tom Brady. He's probably going to be playing to try to get the bye, I would think, at that point, being that only one team gets it now. So you figure that loss would drop the team to 8-8. And then week 18, you have them at Buffalo playing the Bills. Now, and again, I would see this here, having them lose, finishing the season at 8-9. That's going to obviously be a game of importance because you figure you may have the Bills trying to play for seeding, whether it's the 1 seed over Kansas City to get that bye, or trying to be locked in at the 2 instead of the 3. There could be a few different things, but it's going to be important for the Bills to try to win, and it's going to be probably important for the Jets to want to stick it to them and give them a loss wherever their playoff implications may be. So based on that, when all is said and done, I can definitely see the Jets finishing with an 8-9 record. Now, like I said, you talk about some of those 50-50 games in there. We talked about the Patriots. We talked about the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Saints, the Eagles. So even if you say the Dolphins and the Patriots, you could say, all right, well, let's just say they split 1-1, 1-1. All right, you know what I mean? Your 8-9 can now become 10-7, possibly. You know what I mean? If you talk about the Broncos, I have them winning. Again, that could go either way. Is there potential that something crazy happens and they lose that? Possibly. The Saints, again, that's going to be determined based on their quarterback play. The Eagles game is going to be determined based on that team's quarterback play. And same thing with the Broncos. So, you know, you can see the team going as good as 10-7, as bad as 6-11. Like I said, 8-9 I think is realistic. 6-11, I don't see that happening. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it realistic? Yeah. Could it happen? I don't think so. I think the team's going to be too good for that. But we'll just have to wait and see. We'll go through. Tell me what you thought in, based on going through the record piece by piece, by the schedule piece by piece, what you think the record could potentially end at. And, just chime in and let's talk, all right? Jets, Jets. Let's go!